Hello and thank you for joining me on Storytime with Ezrema. I'm your hostess, Ezrema Vasilibrè, and tonight I'm going to share with you 3 short stories from some of my favorite books. Ghost Stories from the American South by W.K. McNeill and A Night with the Hants and Other Alabama Folk Experiences. Collected and edited by Ray B. Brown. So we'll start with a story from Ghost Stories from the American South. The story I'm going to read tonight is number 55B, which appears on page 92 of the book, and is in section 5, which is known as Traveling Ghosts. Okay. As a young lady, I often met Jose in the grove of trees near the river. Much kissing and loving took place. But I was always careful to leave the area well before midnight. One night, shortly before my engagement, time got away from me and I failed to leave before 12. A cold, chilling wind came up suddenly from the north with a furious intensity. A cat screamed and a plaintive, wailing sound came to my ears. It grew louder and louder until a blast of wind caused a white-robed figure to whisk past me. As the figure darted by, I saw that it had no face. I fell to my knees and sought God's help. Before long, the wind stopped, and I could no longer hear the mournful cries. To this day, I have not returned to that cursed spot. The end. As my personal favorite story from this collection, it takes place in El Paso, Texas, according to a note in the back of this book. Alright, yes, here we go. About notes on 55A, B, and C. These 3 texts are versions of one of the most popular legends found among Mexican Americans, that of La Lenora, the Weeping Woman. The first was collected in 1965 in El Paso, Texas. That is not the one we read. The second text, which is the one I read, was collected by William Champion from an unnamed 72-year-old woman in El Paso, Texas. Since it is presented as a personal experience, it is obviously viewed by the informant as something more than just an entertaining story. And now we'll move on to our second and third stories of the night. On page 172, our story numbered 15, entitled In Bed with a Corpse. Papa said that one night a fugitive slipped into a house and slipped into bed. He was cold and wanted to warm up a little. Besides, he felt he wouldn't be seen as easily. He saw a couple sitting around the fire talking. He knew he was in bed with another person who seemed to be asleep. He just lay there and didn't make a sound. Pretty soon one of the couple said, "Wonder if that corpse is ever coming to." When the fugitive heard this, he saw that he was in bed with a corpse. Well, he didn't stay long. With one leap, he was out of the bed, sheet and all. When the couple around the fire saw the sight, they didn't stay long either. All 3 went out of the door at the same time and scattered through the woods. And now, to our third and final story of the evening, from chapter 16. On page 165, it is called The Sitting Up Corpse. One time there was a man who had been terribly bent over all his life, and he died. When it came time to put him in his coffin, the only way to get him in was to strap him head and foot. The night the people was sitting up with the corpse, suddenly the upper strap broke and the corpse sat up straight out of the coffin, scaring the neighbors something awful. One of them, the first to recover from the shock, jumped up and shouted, "Look, Zeke, if you're going to sit, I'm going to get out of here." Well, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed the stories, and take care. Hope to see you on the next episode.